For months, my life had been trapped in a draining cycle of pleading. Day after day, I found myself asking my wife for the simplest forms of connection, affection, respect, or even just a few minutes of her undivided time. But no matter how much effort I put in, it always felt like I was invisible. Every step I took seemed wrong in her eyes. If I stayed late at work to provide, she accused me of neglecting her. If I came home early, she said I lacked ambition. No matter which way I turned, I failed her expectations. I tried everything I could think of to earn her affection. I cooked meals, planned small surprises, bought little gifts, and even took her out to nice places. But nothing mattered. Each effort was brushed aside as though it carried no meaning. Slowly, I began losing myself. The confident man I once was had been replaced by someone constantly drained, desperate for scraps of approval. I apologized in every argument, even when I wasn't wrong, just to keep the peace. I convinced myself that this sacrifice was love, but in truth, I was only a shadow of who I used to be, existing only to serve her moods and demands. Then, this morning, something shifted. She asked me to iron her clothes before work, a task I would usually jump to complete, hoping she might reward me with a smile. But instead of rushing, I sat still, sipping my tea and scrolling on my phone. I gave no excuses, no explanations, just silence. She noticed immediately, her voice sharp as she asked if I had heard her. I nodded but didn't move. For the first time in years, I had chosen not to obey. The shock on her face revealed how unprepared she was to see this side of me. The rest of the day followed a similar pattern. She tested me with small requests: fetch water, fix her charger, call the plumber. Every time, I calmly refused. My refusals weren't harsh or disrespectful, they were quiet, steady, and controlled. That quiet resistance carried more weight than all my past apologies combined. By evening, the atmosphere in the house had changed. She walked restlessly, glancing at me as if trying to make sense of what had happened. When she finally asked, "What's wrong with you today?" I looked her in the eyes and told her the truth. "I'm tired of being the only one who tries in this marriage." Her lips parted as if to argue, but no words came. She wasn't used to me speaking so directly, without pleading or fear. The silence between us grew heavy. She tried to fill it with distractions, turning on the TV, scrolling her phone, but her unease was obvious. When dinner came, she asked if I was cooking. I told her I had already eaten outside. Her face fell, realizing I no longer existed to serve her needs. For years, I had made sure she was fed, cared for, and comfortable. That evening, she cooked for herself, slamming pans around in frustration. But beneath her anger, I could see the panic of someone realizing control was slipping away. Later in bed, her voice softened. "You've been distant today. Are you upset with me?" For once, I didn't sugarcoat or beg. Calmly, I told her, "I'm not upset. I'm just done begging. I'm done living like I'm the only one who cares." She stared at me, as though lying next to a stranger. She tried to defend herself, insisting she had never asked me to beg, accusing me of overreacting. But I reminded her of all the times she dismissed my efforts, took me for granted, and made me feel small. The truth hung heavy in the air, undeniable. She had no defense. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't cry, and I didn't try to convince her. I simply let the silence speak for itself. And in that silence, she realized for the first time that she might lose me if she didn't change. I could feel her shifting, pretending to sleep, while I lay awake feeling something I hadn't felt in years: freedom. I was no longer bound by the constant need for her approval. I had reclaimed a part of myself, and it felt powerful. The next morning, I left the house early. I ignored her calls during the day, and when I came home, I placed an envelope in her hands. Inside were separation papers. Her hands trembled as she read, shock and fear flooding her eyes. She tried to protest, tried to beg me to stay and talk it over, but I remained silent. The man who once begged for her attention was gone. As I packed my belongings, she whispered, "You'll regret this." I looked at her calmly and replied, "No, I've already regretted staying too long." Walking out that door, I felt lighter than I had in years. The weight of desperation, of constant begging, had finally lifted. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't chasing love that was never returned. I wasn't pleading for scraps of respect. I was no longer begging. I was free.